As a result of slides in the cut, necessary excavation increased by an extra 25%, or 15.3 million cubic meters. The 9-mile-long Calibra Cut is the narrowest point in the canal and means that ships like the Nordam can only travel in single file. In November 1906, President Roosevelt became the first sitting US president ever to leave the United States when he made this visit to Panama. The steam shovel the president is sitting on weighs 95 tons. 102 were used throughout the canal, and they all had to be brought to Panama from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Landslides were a recurring problem in creating the cut. Iron pyrites in the rock strata oxidize when in contact with air and moisture, causing the rock to disintegrate. This was little understood at the time. There were at least 6 major landslides during the creation of the cut, and any one could wipe out months of work. David Gaillard was the driving inspiration behind the creation of the cut, working 12-hour days from 1907 to 1913. In 1915, Calibra Cut was renamed Gaillard Cut in his honour. This 9 by 11 foot memorial plaque was sited on Contractors Hill in 1928. Even today, the dredges in the cut remove 1 million cubic meters of earth per year. The French moved just under 60 million cubic meters of dirt, of which 23 million was used by the Americans in the final project. The Chagres is dammed at Gatun and drains northwest into the Caribbean Sea. A temporary dike was built at Gamboa to keep water from the Chagres out of the cut during construction. President Wilson dynamited the dike by remote control, flooding the cut, and the two oceans are joined. The origin of the famous palindrome is uncertain. However, there was a story about a letter that President Roosevelt wrote to the chief engineer George Washington Goethals, which contained the words, "This phrase works in either direction, just like the canal you have constructed." No record has ever been found of this letter. Almost 100 years on, the concrete is still in perfect condition. Water transfer occurs by opening valves connected to massive culverts built into the lock walls. The opening of the waterway to world commerce represented the realization of a heroic dream of over 400 years. These new locks will be 180 feet wide. They will enable the largest container ships to carry 3 times the current maximum payload. And this shot clearly shows the 3 steps on the Gatun locks. I'm on the Nordam on the bottom step, and on the right we have the green tanker on the second step, and behind that the MS Volendam on the top step. The creation of the Panama Canal was one of the most dramatic and sweeping adventures of all time. Spanning nearly half a century, it enlisted men, nations and money on a scale never before seen in all of history. Apart from the Great Wars, it was the largest, costliest single effort ever mounted anywhere on Earth. These 50 miles between the oceans were among the hardest ever won by human ingenuity. More than 20 years of phenomenal effort and sacrifice have created a true wonder of the world, one which works just as well today as it did when it was first opened in 1914.